So while they're getting that started, Reonomy leverages big data, partnerships, machine learning to connect the fragmented, disparate world of commercial real estate. By providing unparalleled access to property intelligence, Reonomy products empower individuals, teams, and companies to unlock insights and discover new opportunities. Gabrielle Yitzhayek and Trevor Smith of Reonomy will be leading us through this demo of their product, which is used by some of the biggest names in commercial real estate, including Cushman & Wakefield, CBRE, Avison Young, and beyond. Welcome, Gabriella and Trevor.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having us today. We're really excited to show everyone the platform. Just diving into things, I am with Trevor on the line. Trevor, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, hope everyone's doing well.
Trevor is one of our top account executives at Reonomy, and I work beside him as well. We've worked with, again, small mom and pop shops across the country, as well as some of the largest companies out there, JP Morgan, CBRE, JLL, Tishman Speyer, you name it, we've probably worked with them. So we're excited to show everyone what exactly we do and how we're able to help those and more.
So just to set a little bit of an agenda for us, we're going to give you guys a little insight into who we are, some about Reonomy, why people choose to work with us. We'll highlight some key features and benefits of the platform, and then we'll jump into the platform itself and actually take you guys through a sample search.
In terms of just a high level how we're able to help, there are three main categories in which we help clients. One is with deal discovery. We help folks source new opportunities, off-market properties that they can then prospect, look at acquiring, look at dealing with on a listing basis, et cetera. We also help with the property research aspect as we cover not just property level information, but information on sales history, debt history, tax information. And lastly, we do pierce the LLC. So that third bucket is streamlining outreach. We help by providing the contact information for owners directly. That includes cell phones, direct lines, emails, mailing addresses. And we also help with the outreach. We have a ton of nice CRM functionality that is included as well.
So a little bit more about us. We've been around since 2013. We originally just here in the 5 boroughs of New York, where we're currently located. We were quickly adapted by all the major brokerages as well as some of the smaller shops, here in the city. And, our leading venture capitalists that came to us, Bain Capital, Sapphire Ventures, SoftBank, said, hey, this is great. We'd love for you guys to take this, across the country. Fast forward to where we are today, 100 plus different data points on, over 50 million properties throughout the country. And we've quickly become the leading source for property intelligence.
And just a little bit about how we differentiate ourselves and how we are unique in the space. This beautiful graph here shows a little bit about our process, but definitely simplified. On the left-hand side, you'll see some of our sources. So the starting place for us is public records. We have integration with every county records office, every tax assessor's office across the country, no matter if it's a primary, secondary, or tertiary market. That allows us to enhance the system with every property, every parcel that exists, as well as some basic property level information. Partnered with our private databases, that's every top tier data provider on the private sector side, including Dun & Bradstreet, CoreLogic, Black Knight, and many others that allow us to enhance the data and allow a lot more depth of information per property. Coupled together with all of those different data points, and that's literally billions and billions of different data points, is the wonderful work our engineering team all out of New York has done over the last 7 years, which includes really, really sophisticated machine learning and artificial intelligence systems that can deduce information from the raw data that we acquire. Those partnerships are exclusive for the majority of the time, so we are exclusive holders of a ton of the data that we store, but we then enhance, refine, and refresh the data, ultimately leading you to the right side of the screen, our SaaS and DaaS offerings that allow users, which we'll show you in a second, to integrate directly into their day-to-day, the wonderful data that we have through the UI that we have developed as well.
Just one other snapshot here about the total breadth and depth of Reonomy. 50 million properties, those 100 plus data points that we mentioned, just some key ones to highlight here. And naturally, we'll take a deeper dive into this in just a second here.
And of course, we must name some of the clients that we work with very closely. These are just a couple of the brands that you all are very aware of: CBRE, JLL, Marcus, and many more on the broker side. And then we've also had a really interesting flow of unique use cases, Starry, Notel, et cetera, that we've been able to provide service to. And now diving into the platform. So what exactly Reonomy looks like, how are we able to actually service the data? So what you all are looking at here is the front end web app that users are able to access from any computer or mobile device, tablet, etc. At any time that you log in, this is the page that you will see. On the top right, note the number that Trevor mentioned earlier, 52+ million properties. That's the number of assets on our site. And at any time, you're able to search by address, owner, tenant, or use the 300 criteria that we've developed to prospect really efficiently, develop a list of properties, either for, again, off-market opportunity acquisitions, for listings, for new clients, for service needs. And Trevor will show you now how we can go about to do that.
Yeah, great. So let's jump into it. So we'll start by utilizing all the search filters that we have here on the platform. I know that everyone's kind of spread across the country. We're here in New York. It's a bit of a gloomy day. So we figured what better place to run a search than in beautiful, sunny Miami, Florida. At least I hope it's sunny there today for all you that are located down there. We're going to put Miami into the MSA. We don't want to just restrict our search to just the city limits. So why not search in the greater market as a whole? We'll move over to asset type. We're pulling in all these asset classifications from the county records. For the purpose of it, let's do something like retail, just because it is a pretty widespread coverage of smaller different sub assets. Building and lot, we'll transfer over to this. This is probably going to be what we would consider the last physical filter. So when we're narrowing down a search of interest, based on physical parameters, this is going to be the last one that we're going to touch on. Let's just use one. We'll use a building square footage. Let's do nothing over 50,000 square feet. We don't want to get too big with it here. So just with these three filters, we've narrowed it down to about 10,112 results in a matter of 15, 20 seconds.
And this is now every list of every property in the Miami area that is retail under 50,000 square feet, which is great for the primary database that you all either have developed or are planning to. But what's really nice about Reonomy is we're not just a county site. We're not just giving you addresses. We're giving you a couple of additional factors. One is, how do I narrow down this list to be properties that I'm interested in reaching out to owners of or researching? For this use case, perhaps I'm a broker that's looking for listing opportunities. I need a database that will enhance my ability to reach out to owners. So I can quickly take a look and in the sales tab, add a likely to sell feature. What's great about Reonomy is we have a great client success team that will also help you on this endeavor and make sure that you're utilizing all of our filters to the best of their capability. But this is one of a couple that we'll show you today that excites me. Going on to the debt tab, again, we're still at 9,000 properties, way too many for me to prospect for listings or, again, for off-market acquisitions, depending on the field that you're in. So what I'm now going to do is add an additional filter, origination date. You can either toggle around with origination or maturity date. We have the largest database of debt information. So either way, you're going to find ending debts, expiring debts that will increase the likelihood that an owner wants to sell their property. Of course, you can search by tenant, by owner even, by tax changes. But for this search, I'm going to click apply and see what we have developed.
Perfect. So here's just a list of the results that showed up. 843 properties, and an immense amount of opportunity for those in the market to pursue. You notice the kind of the blue dots on the map. It's essentially the heat map of sorts. If you start to zoom in on this map, some of the properties would move out of view, some would move back into focus. So the map is interactive in itself. For the purpose of it, we'll just focus on the properties on the left-hand side, the Rolodex of properties of sorts. One thing you guys will notice is the ability to export information directly into Microsoft Excel or into CSV. So for those of you that have your own databases and want to take the fields that we provide and upload it into your system, we make that super easy for you guys to do with the exporting tool.
And one thing that we're also developing, just by how highly it has been requested, are in-app abilities to do outreach. So in the next few months, we'll have a direct mail campaign module that will allow you not just to prospect within Reonomy, not just to see who owns a property and how to contact them, but actually send them direct mail within the system. And as we evolve, we'll continue to add on more features like that to make sure that reaching out to folks is easier than ever. The export capability that Trevor just touched on is wonderful for creating a database that you have internally, whether it's on a tool like Salesforce, Apto, ClientLook, or if you're keeping it in Excel on your desk drive, just to make sure that you have that asset, which is your Rolodex.
And as Gabriella mentioned, she mentioned, Apto, Salesforce, some of those other tools out there. One of the other things we are excited about in the works that's also been heavily requested is our integration tool. So to save you a step of exporting out and re-uploading into a system, are soon going to be moving to a point where you can just directly integrate that information into your current day-to-day. Let's take a look at some of these properties. So if we just scroll down a little bit here, we can notice that these three properties in particular, they're all kind of right next to each other, part of a larger shopping center. It's all owned by the same owner. Let's take a look at one of them and see what information we can find.
Diving into the property card, we can actually open up a new tab and review all the physical information, building and lot details, parcel shape, as well as Google Earth view, seeing traffic count on the street, for example, traction, how busy it is on the main highway or internally. I'm able to paint the picture in terms of transactional history. So purchased a little over 2 years ago for $3.5 million. There was a 9 property transaction. So we're actually showing you all parcels that were transacted on at that time. What's really nice is obviously there was no recent debt. We can actually see on the sales side, this was an all cash transaction. So you are getting a ton of information on this property, the owner, the portfolio, et cetera. I also have a full understanding now of the tax information, any improvements that were done to the property, tenants. So in this particular section of the shopping center, there is a plumbing company. We're even giving you contact information for that location of that plumbing company. And what most people really enjoy about Reonomy is piercing the LLC. So Peel Investments LLC, we're not able to identify who that owner is without Reonomy. But going into the system, we're able to quickly identify property owners by piercing that property within a matter of seconds. So Peel LLC pierces within a couple of seconds to give you that contact information. We're able to see all of the contact information for that owner and see that there's a cell phone, direct line, email, mailing address. We can even see their portfolio and start tagging our colleagues in that property as well. From here, we have several other things that we can do. We're able to tag.
Guys, it looks like the screen has frozen.
Are you able to hear me still?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. We just never got any more of the owner information. It's kind of where it froze up.
Oh boy.
Oh, when it, yeah, I don't know if you guys all heard Trevor. Oh boy.
The part we were all excited to see, unfortunately.
Let me see. I just refreshed the page. Does that
okay?
Now?
I'm seeing the map, the heat map. Yep, and
Okay,
scrolling
perfect.
back and forth. Yep, thank you.
Perfect. I'll just go back into this tab. So
yep,
right
it's coming through. Yep.
Perfect. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened there. So right here on the top of the screen, do you see where it says Peel Investments LLC? I'll take the audience saying yes, head nods I can see across the country. And right below that, what you're seeing is Trevor Smith unlocked this property November 5th, which is great for those of you on teams. We provide a ton of team capabilities so you can see what each other is doing. You can actually get insight into who's kind of tagging each other in information, get email alerts, etc. But right below that, Peel Investments, under that is William Peel. So he is the owner, principal, decision maker of the property. Sometimes you'll get more than one. Sometimes you'll have one person. We rank those people in order of significance. So in order of decision-making ability, relevance, day-to-day participation in the property and portfolio. So we are making sure that you all are spending your time as effectively as possible. Now, just taking a look on the right-hand side of William's information, yes, we provided William's mailing address, but to the right, we have a cell phone, direct line, email, all in real time. I can click on this number, hit call, and it will literally dial William from my computer if I wanted to. Same with emails. Again, next year, we'll also have more of that functionality, including the mailer module, email campaigns, a more easy to use call system. So we're definitely working on that CRM capability as well. What I want to pause here and speak to right now is that quality of ownership information. So a ton of people, I mean, literally every call that we're on, people say, okay, that's great. We understand that you have great coverage. And again, 52+ million properties compared to 1 million properties with ownership information by some of our colleagues and competitors. So we have that breadth, but what about the depth and accuracy? And I think it's really important, probably the most important aspect to explain is how are we getting accurate ownership information? So just taking a pause there, we have a relationship with every Secretary of State that extends to a private database they maintain as well. We're deciding from that, coupled with debt signatory information, who some of the decision makers or singular decision maker may be. We identify their home address, office address, etc. And then we pull from every top tier contact provider on the private sector side, a variation of phone numbers, cell phones, direct lines, emails even. And in real time, we identify accuracy based on frequency and recency. We then display that information in our backend system. But as we all know, phone numbers can change, emails can change. We need to make sure that those numbers that we're giving our clients are the best quality that they can be. So as of last month, we invested heavily into a company that allows for real-time phone and email validation. Probably one of the coolest things I've seen my 2 years here at Reonomy. When you click on a property, we're pinging server board to make sure that that number is active in that time period. Not that this probably matters to many of you, but we have a full team of engineers, literally not so many, we don't even have seats for them right now. We're currently moving offices is how many we've hired. Our VP of engineering, who is unbelievable, took the time out to work on this project on his own because he felt so strongly about it. So you are all hearing, listening, viewing Reonomy and hopefully getting started with it at literally its peak, at the best it's ever been, I should say. And we're really excited for that update because that has really been tremendous. There's a ton more to show. I know that we have 30 minutes, so I want to make sure that we have time for questions. I'll quickly touch on some of that team functionality and then move on to some questions by the team. So start submitting. I have a couple already going, but submit questions in the chat and we'll make sure to get to those. Team capability. So I've developed a list. I've seen ownership information. I've potentially called someone already. But maybe I'm really not the decision maker here. I need to schedule meetings for my boss, right? Trevor's really the guy running the whole show, and I'm merely his servant. So I can go into Reonomy. Perhaps I've scheduled time already. So I'll select, I'm on his account, so I'll select myself for the sake of example and say, hey, Gabriella, you know, meeting scheduled for 1 p.m. on Tuesday. When I hit submit, when I hit save, and literally this second, I just got an email in my inbox notifying me about the note that Trevor tagged me in it and a link to the property. So we're not just within the app helping folks collaborate and teams grow and become more efficient. This is really a full experience that you're getting even when you're not on Reonomy. I can also label these properties in the same way. I can label them to call back in January perhaps, and I can tag my boss, my juniors, whatever flow you guys have, you're able to communicate with teams appropriately. Going on to questions. Great job submitting those. Feel free to submit more. Starting with a question in one of the chats. How do you get comps in states that are non-disclosure states like Texas? Wonderful question. So we have coverage all over the country. In non-disclosure states, which for those of you who are not in non-disclosure states are basically areas of the country where sales information and other data is not required by the owner to submit. So what we have is actually different processes in place, a combination of different providers that allow us to have that data still. So happy to sign you up for access or give you a demo offhand where we can do a search for Texas. That definitely would have been a good one to do, but I'm happy to do it offline too and show you that we do have complete coverage. It doesn't affect our ownership information in the least bit. We still have debt information streaming through as well, and we do have the sales data, so we're very proud to say that. I have a great question. I don't even know which one to pick next. I'll go in order. Question for Reonomy team. What's the pricing range for individuals and teams? Thanks. Great question. So we have various packages. We have a package as low as $300 a month for an individual user. And then anything that's for more than one user or someone that needs more of the complete package, which I'll touch on the difference in a second, can easily contact us. We'll reach out to you guys and work with you to identify exactly what you need and create pricing based on that. Typically, you see pricing range anywhere from, I would say, $350 to $600 being like maybe the average cost per user, and we do work with teams. So to get access to the full platform, you are signing up your team. Your architecture showed machine learning, but you haven't defined what that is. Can you please do so? Fantastic question as well. So we have many different technologies in place, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and other technologies as well. The machine learning I can simply define by giving examples. So we have a VP of product who used to be an appraiser. And when we were developing our comps tool, which yes, we can also run comps for you guys, run reports on them, create really nicely done reports in PDF with your own logos and everything. But we do have that ability. How did we figure out how to run comps, right? Because every area has different criteria to run a sales comp by. So we actually had our VP of product at the time, he was a director of product, I believe, run comps and train the system on how to identify comps in the area. With time, that machine learning system became smarter and more efficient and more accurate, although sorry to say that, Pat, if you're listening, than he did. And that's just one of the ways that we have used what is typically very human focused. I mean, real estate is really, really, subjective a lot of the time. We have used that knowledge of the industry to create machine learning that helps identify those numbers. And then also with data cleansing and our data science team, they use machine learning as well. Next question is, what does the heart, I assume that meant to say, what does the heart at the left represent? So we have a great referral system. That's really just a link to share this information with your friends. Happy to answer questions offline about that, but we have a really great referral system that allows you guys to reap the benefit of having friends join, having colleagues join as well. Next question is, do you guys have zoning information for each property? Sorry if I missed that already. Do not apologize. We do have zoning information, so you can also search by zoning. Just quickly showing you on the building and lot side here where it says zoning, you can type in a specific zoning code, or when you're actually in a property card or exporting the data, you can export that data with the zoning information included as well. Next question is this sold on an individual user basis, or do you have options for an entire brokerage team? We actually exclusively work with teams for the full version of the platform. So Brandon, happy to chat offline and answer those questions for you as well. Next question is, would love to hear more about how you use machine learning in Reonomy and what value it provides. I think we already kind of went through that, but happy to answer that offline as well. And I see in a different chat, just a question about the team's functionality. So again, we have not just the largest property database, we pierce the LLC of those properties and help you all not just source data, but really use it in your day-to-day to make your lives easier, more efficient, and ultimately close you all more deals. So that CRM functionality, that Teams, Reonomy for Teams solution is designed to do that. Again, tagging folks, leaving notes, leaving records and trails so that you guys are not, overlapping there. One other question, this is probably my favorite so far, is if I already have CoStar, how could this still be helpful? So CoStar and LoopNet are a great listings platform. Obviously, they cover a small percentage on the listings front, just because not every property is listed. And that's where Reonomy comes in. We are much stronger on the front of gathering real-time data on every property. Again, in comparison to 52 million properties nationwide, all commercial, they cover 5. Out of that 5 million, 1 million have contact information of owners. So we're much, much stronger in the breadth and the depth of coverage in terms of what we're able to provide, as well as accuracy. Our data is refreshed systematically on a regular basis, whereas CoStar does rely on a call center. So the information and the depth and the recency of data you'll see is far different. I'm excited to talk to you all offline. I'll type in my email just in the chat so that you all can contact me directly if you'd like. I'm sure our marketing team will be reaching out as well for those of you who are interested. But I know we're running short on time, so I just want to thank you all so much.
Yeah, thank everyone for joining. I appreciate it. It's been great. We're looking forward to speaking with you guys all offline.
Yes, and hopefully this was helpful. Please do not hesitate to reach out directly.
We got one more question, guys, and you got a couple minutes if you want to take it on. Yeah.
So how is your data real time? Great. Thank you for that. How is your data real time? Don't you get this information from public records and there's a lag from recording? So that source is just one of our dozens and dozens of different sources, which is why Reonomy is beneficial. We don't just provide one source of data. We have dozens and billions, in fact, of different data points that we refresh regularly. So the first point being public records. If a transaction occurs, as soon as that transaction, not just take place, obviously, but once it's recorded, we have that in our system. Some counties record their information day of, so we would have it then. If a county is lagged, then of course we will be lagged in that process as well, unless a different source provides us that transactional history. That being said, it's real time in the sense as soon as a county has recorded that information, it's in our system. Now, when you're looking at phone numbers, emails, data on property information and ownership information, that is quickly updated and refreshed regularly so that you don't have an issue where you're calling someone that is no longer relevant to the property, or the number or email is no longer relevant. That's really what we strive to achieve in that sense. I'm actually seeing a couple other questions, so I'll go.
Keep going. We've got some time. Yeah.
Perfect. Do you have a verification process for your data? If so, what is it? Yes, that's a wonderful question. Definitely more than 2 minutes to answer. So Brian, we should connect offline to go more in depth, but just for contact information, we have a couple of steps. First, identifying the decision maker, as I mentioned, through our various sources. We're looking at not just listed agent for the LLC. We're looking at who's active in the portfolio, because we do have portfolio technology, guys. We're looking at entire portfolios despite an LLC. We're seeing who signed the debt. So one of the sources that we have allows us to see debt signatories. We have other sources for debt information as well. So we identify DMs that way. We identify their roles and list those for you. And then verification for just to answer that question as quickly as possible, just on the phone number and email front, we're cross-referencing based on recency and frequency, determining what numbers and emails are best. As you know, as I know, I have, oh boy, probably 10 emails throughout the years that I've generated, only 2 of which I check. So we do that work to make sure that we're giving you the best data there possible. And then again, the server board technology in real time is what goes out and makes sure that those points of data are accurate. We do the same thing across the board. So cross-referencing data on the tenant side, tax information is pretty simple, but sales data, lending information, any lender data, we make sure to look at closely as well.
Well, thanks guys so much. This has been really interesting. I appreciate you both, Trevor and Gabriella.